So hello friends, this is the day 2 of my posting reviews for 100 different novels. Okay, so the first one I have posted was of um, was already there in the is already there in the channel, so you can visit and see. Now this is the second day, and I have picked up a special book for today. This choice is because of two big reasons. Okay, so the choice I will show you that the second for the second day I have chosen this novel. This is Rajmohan's Five by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. So this is he was a Bengali writer, obviously well known, revolutionary also. Okay, so in the so this story is basically set in the old Bengal. Okay, the interesting thing about this novel is that it was actually the first novel that was ever published in India. In whole of India, you can imagine this was the first novel, the first thing that came in the shape of a novel. The whole chapter wise, this whole story book. So earlier, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay used to publish it as a journal in weekly journals. Okay? So each of the chapter was published separately in a weekly journal. So later on, when he compiled it, when it was compiled, this whole how many chapters are there? There are basically so many chapters. The name number is not there, but yeah, so lots of chapters are there. So all these chapters when compiled into a book called Rajmohan's Wife, because it was basically about Rajmohan's wife. Then the idea of putting something into a novel came into existence in India at least. Earlier it was there in foreign places and Western and other regions, but in India, okay, influenced by the Western things, the writing of novels came into existence, and it could be given accredited to Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Okay, so such a literary masterpiece. This is basically a classic Indian novel based on old Bengal. Okay. So you will see there are several references about old Bengal. So you have to be acquainted with little bit of a Bengali tradition to understand. Otherwise, it is okay because later on in the last part, the editor who has compiled this journal into a book, has done this effort of putting all the necessary information at the back of the book, so you can have a little bit of a knowledge if you don't have a prior knowledge about the culture and everything. So the writing itself masterpiece, because you can understand. Okay, so this is also a very good story that the first three chapters were missing when it was compiled. It was found that the first three chapters were missing, so it started with chapter 4. So here the editor has added on the three chapters in his own language. Okay, it was earlier deduced from this Bengali portion of the journal, where the whole thing was also published in Bengali language, but later on that those three chapters from the Bengali one was translated into English and put into this book attached. Okay, so the first three chapters is a different one, and when you go to fourth chapter, that from there on, here exactly the actual writing of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay comes into existence. So you actually come to know that how dense he wrote. Okay, so his writing is definitely very dense. He's um, he has done a great job. Okay, I'm no one to actually he's great man. Actually, the way he has written is actually without any prior information, okay, about how do you put the Indian things into the, obviously the whole idea about the writing was in a Western thing, but you take the Indian thing and you incorporate it with such fluency he has done. Okay, so you can understand that effortlessly he is able to express everything in India, every culture, everything he has very meticulously put into this book. You can just sense everything with this writing. His writing feels fresh. He takes you into the scenes. The scenes feel very vivid. You just feel very deeply involved in those scenes. Plus, the character that he has written back in those times is actually a human character is put into the forefront. That is a very important thing. So the main character is actually, you can see here in the cover also it is given, she is a Rajmohan's wife, Matangini. So Matangini's life is full of ups and downs. The way he has put Matangini's life in these pages is actually very inspiring. She has not shown as a very um, uh, prey fallen into prey type of woman. Okay, she is very independent. She wants to break free from the shackles of his husband Rajmohan, who is very abusive. The marriage she is going through is very abusive one. being set in the old Bengal times, so obviously the setup is also like that, but the whole idea is very fresh. Okay, I have observed that while reading, I have observed many of the things that he used here is actually the first time it has been used. The whole technique of the writing that is um, very much seen in the Rabindranath Tagore's writing, and later on every writer whoever has written, many things are there in the, based on the thriller also. Okay, the suspense, the way of writing, the way of explaining things. Okay, how he makes everything dance and work according to him to make the whole plot work. Okay, how he has, how meticulously he has, how keeps you at the edge of the seat. Okay, so he's able to portray every scene very meticulously. It is very excellent. Okay, so in the writing perspective also, you can learn from here. Obviously not because the writing is very dense. Starting from chapter 4 you will observe that he has written very difficult English. Okay? It is because it is deduced from the classical ones. So he has obviously in today's time people don't have that much of a patience to look into the dictionary every single second term. Obviously the so much of difficulty is there in the writing. The structure of the sentences are also very difficult, contrary to the Sudhamurti's book that I have reviewed in first one. This one is absolutely very difficult. So this one is obviously taught in the um, I think graduation of the arts, English literature graduation also it is taught. So obviously you can see, obviously understand how much difficult this has to be. But the writing I appreciated, and once I started with fourth, fifth chapter, I little bit struggled, but later on I was very much comfortable with the writing. You will fall in love with the writing. I'm sure about that. But you will have to struggle a little bit. Fourth and fifth chapter, the first time you jump from this, there is a shock kind of thing. Okay, so from first three chapter it is very easy. Obviously the modern writing is there, but contemporary ones which are very fluent, and the language is not very dense in itself. You don't focus on using absolutely the ones that people don't use, the vocabularies that is very absolutely not in common. Okay, so he has chosen those kind of vocabularies in usual talkings. But also one thing I have observed, that his technique is also inspired by Shakespeare, because when he talks, when he writes about the aristocratic class people, the high class people talking, he uses the very elite Bengali. Okay, when he uses for the low class people, the dialogues are written in a very lower class Bengali. Okay, very cheap English. Okay, so very normal English it is written. So that disparity is also maintained here. So these kind of writing techniques is very important, and very I appreciate it very much. It is absolutely very good book. Okay, I read it. The overall twist and turns is also very good. I will not spoil the secret of this book. Okay, overall the scenes that are written, one scene I will just discuss short. There is one scene where Matangini finds out that her husband is sending a robber, okay, to some house, someone close to her. Then what happens? She rushes to inform that person that her husband is sending robbers to their house. Okay, which can threaten their life as well. So the whole, at the night she is running through the forest, and the whole scene is written in such vivid manner. And in fact, there is one scene where she is wearing a shawl. She opens that shawl and fills it with a this mud ball. Okay, and then dips into this pond at the night, so that she cannot be recognized because of the darkness all around, and her face cannot be seen as it is shining in the sun moonlight. So she covers her face with the hairs. This is a very interesting, I have never seen this kind of a scene ever in the movies or anything. So this kind of imagination is very vivid. I really appreciate this kind of thoughtful writing. So yes, this is it for the second book. Moving, I will look forward to your reviews. If you have any suggestion, you can put in the comment box. I will try to read it and put a review on that.